Hello everyone, I am Melanie Youngsma, publisher of the Lansing Journal, and I'm so excited to have Lansing Christian School as our YouTube channel sponsor this month. Lansing Christian is my alma mater. I went there from 1st grade through 8th grade. Was I studying back then to someday lead Lansing's only newspaper? No, but a solid faith-based education prepares you for plans you haven't even dreamed of yet, and it teaches you that we each have a role to play in making the world better. Lansing Christian School helped make me the person I am today. See what they can do for the kids in your life. Hello everyone, I am Melanie Youngsma, publisher of the Lansing Journal, here with Paul Chukovich. We just got out of kind of a long village board meeting.
Late night in Lansing.
And we're here because Lansing Journal is Lansing's only newspaper. It's our job to keep our diverse community informed and connected. And there was a lot on these agendas that our community needs to know about. How are we going to summarize this?
Yeah, kind of like the cliff notes of it. So as always, you know, the way that the village does it is they have their regular meeting followed by the committee of the whole meeting. Committee of the whole meeting seems like it's usually a lot longer because that's where they actually discuss things that they're going to vote on later, like maybe the next village board meeting or a future village board meeting. So the regular village board meeting itself didn't take that long.
It's a little longer because of the fun presentation.
Right, that was kind of fun. So they started off by recognizing the Glen, the 5th grade boys and girls basketball teams for winning the district championship in both cases. So they had a lot of the boys and girls come up and they were awarded medals and they took pictures and a lot of smiling faces. So it was kind of cute to watch.
Good way to start a meeting.
Yeah, that was, yeah. And then they get on the business. So then after the kids kind of left, there were a lot of things that, I mean, they approved bills, of course, but there were a lot of things that, you know, I had written about previously, like creating a new liquor license for Johnny K's restaurant, which, of course, a lot of people familiar with on Torrance Avenue. It had been closed for a while and recently reopened. Known for its Greek food, but also other things as well. Stuff, yeah, wide variety.
Okay.
So, the owner had come to the previous committee of the whole meeting asking for that license, so it's a beer and wine license, which they had previously before they closed. Another thing, they gave the go-ahead for a truck repair facility to open up on 170th Street, basically 170th Street and Burnham Avenue, where there's a towing company, I think it's Elite Towing, I believe, is located now. They approved the transfer to K9 Luna, who is retired. That was discussed last committee of the whole. And the main reason was given was that there's medical marijuana defined now, at least illegal marijuana, since
There's just so much marijuana, but it's legal now.
the poor dog's out of the job. So, but anyhow, they okayed the transfer to his handler. So basically,
He has a home now.
yes, he's no longer an employee of the village. So, and then also approved was a application for community development block grant funds, and that's money that's used to like repair streets. So the village doesn't know if or how much they'll get, but they're going to apply for the maximum $500,000. Last year they applied and got $300,000. So it hadn't been determined yet if they get funds this time around what streets they'll be used for. That will be to be worked out. Chicago Avenue project, a reconstruction project, that gave that the go-ahead. So that's over like by the Lansing Sports Complex and that whole there. And what else?
It does need it. It's an industrial road. Might not get a lot of residential traffic, but a lot of industry and trucks and it's in bad shape.
And there's also, the plan is to not only fix the road, but add a sidewalk there so that employees of those businesses there can enjoy that. And also to add some sidewalk on 170th, like between the police station and Chicago Avenue. And then the other thing, Golden Bear, they gave the go-ahead for them to add a new sign. That's the restaurant, breakfast and lunch place on Torrance Avenue as well, to add an electronic sign instead of just having a regular monument sign. So that was kind of, I think, sort of the highlights of the regular meeting, and then that was followed by the long committee of the whole meeting. And a lot of it was insurance stuff, so unless.
Anytime they have insurance on the agenda, plan on one.
Right, and you know, some
Important stuff.
important, maybe not all that exciting, but it's up to you, maybe you find it exciting. But, and probably more important to you or exciting if you're maybe a real employee who the plans might affect, but.
And I will say, I did appreciate how engaged our trustees were in that discussion. They asked some good questions, they wanted more details, and it's good to see that they read the materials ahead of time and they had questions about it. And they have to balance the best interests of the employees and the village budget. Things are expensive.
Yeah, and then they also talked about the Dion Furniture Building.
Hey, One Trick Pony is the name of the, One Trick Pony is not going in there, but the development group or something is called One Trick Pony, or OTP.
Yeah, that name's still remind you, though, One Trick Pony, the former brewery in Lansing, is really out of the picture, but I think the name still remains on the project, but it's not, the plan is to, I think I wrote about a few months ago, was to put a restaurant on the bottom floor and like a bar, some sort of sports bar or something on the top. And so kind of they're asking for another amendment to the, redevelopment agreement, so basically.
They want to spend more money on the building.
And so then the village would probably be providing more money for them to do so, with the hopes that finally it's going to come to fruition. We've been waiting a long time for this vacant building to have something in it and get back on the tax roll.
And they talked about how this is a good location near Fox Point, and they want people to be able to go there before and after Fox Point events. But it's going to be a breakfast and lunch place.
Yeah, it's supposed to be, I think, the restaurant part or more.
That works.
Yeah, well, the bar part, I guess, on top, I guess that's the part that maybe they would go to after concerts. But and it's not all just, you know, the village, I guess, contributing more money, but also part of the agreement was they're going to pay all the back taxes, this group that is being.
They promised they're going to make good on everything.
So it sounds like the village board is hopeful, and because of the large investment, 2.2 million or something like that, the thought is that they probably not going to walk away, and it's going to actually happen. And we have a police call coming in, but let's see, and then also, let's see what else, the strikes and bites, the bowling alley that used to be Randolph Lanes, Class A real estate incentive, I think they're looking for to help them, and because they invested so much and they're planning on investing so much yet into that property, so that might help them with that.
Owner Dan Johnson was here, and he spoke of some of the improvements that they've already made and how they're investing back in the community. They've done a lot of good things separate from the business. Reposition the business as more of an outreach type of organization.
So that and the young building and all the stuff on the committee of the whole, that wasn't, voted on tonight, that's to be voted on, probably at the next meeting. Along with also, Fire Chief Queen talking about replacing fire hydrants, very important. So, and so they're probably gonna vote at the next meeting about going with a particular breakout plumbing, I think, is the one that was recommended. Large police grant that they're supposed to vote on to approve for body cameras, body and dash cameras, I believe it was. So it looks like the village is going to get it $660,000 or something. So, and then also a crossing guard agreement with over at TF South and Police Chief Al Phillips talking about the number of accidents that kids getting hit there. He said what did he say? It was only, he knew
28 years, he had heard of one accident, 5 takes off. This year, the first 3 months, there's been 4? Or
3 or 4, I think. But anyhow, he was talking about some of the steps that have been taken there, like putting in, I think, a radar gun or whatnot, and also crossing guards, which then they're supposed to vote on, I guess, an official agreement for District 215 to kind of reimburse them for that, is my understanding. So that was kind of, I think, did I leave anything out? I don't know. That's the condensed
version. You don't have to watch the rest of the video, which is the whole meeting. You can just watch It's the intro.
But especially if you like insurance, you'll want to read it, but that's kind of in a nutshell,
It's in the article.
I guess, the highlights of it, so, but,
Yeah. So, keep on watching if you'd like to see the whole meeting.
yeah. Especially if you have any kids who were in the first part of it, you know, you might want to watch your all the nice smiling faces, and that was kind of fun, so.
And thanks for watching, thanks for reading. We appreciate knowing that you're out there, that you care about this kind of information. It is important, and it's good to have involved, connected, engaged citizens. So thank you so much.
Good evening, and welcome to the Village of Lansing Board meeting, March 3rd, 2026. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I gotta tell you, I love it. We got a nice packed house here today. It's great to see all the smiling faces. We're going to move on. Clerk, would you please take roll call? Trustee Valencia is absent with notice.
Trustee Zelderus.
Here.
Trustee Johnson. Here. Trustee Abbasy.
Here.
Trustee Smith. Here. Trustee Lamont.
Here. Thank you, Clerk. Trustees have before them the minutes from the Village Board meeting on February 17th. Are there any questions or discussions on the minutes? Now I need a motion to accept. So moved. Second. We have a motion and a second. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Abbasy.
Aye.
Trustee Zelderus.
Abstain.
Trustee Johnson. Aye. Trustee Smith. Aye. Trustee Lamont.
Trustees also have before them the minutes from the executive session meeting on February 17th, 2026. Again, any questions or discussions on that? If not, I need a motion to accept. So moved. Second. We have a motion and a second. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Abbasy. Aye. Trustee Zelderus.
Abstain.
Trustee Johnson. Aye. Trustee Smith. Aye. Trustee Lamont.
Under the mayor's report, I got great news. We're going to recognize the Glen 5th grade boys and girls basketball team from School District 158. I believe Dr. Schilling, you just walked in. Dr. Schilling, if you wouldn't mind coming up front. Amy Nothison, our trustee. I'm going to have Amy come up front. And then Dr. Schilling, you have, I know we have Coach Likis here. Coach Like, if you wouldn't mind stepping on up, that would be great.
Mayor Hurd. We have a principal as well, Mike Urchin.
Oh, okay. Mike Earnshaw? Yep. Yes. Right, exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, Mrs. Sikowski.
Mrs. Sikowski is in the audience with Moose.
She can come up.
Yeah. Come on up with Moose. This is service dog. We have plenty of room up there. Oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. We got Coach Green as well. So again, what I just wanted to say is that the village wanted to recognize the team, the 5th grade boys and girls from Glen School on their championship. First of all, congratulations. And I wanted to bring Dr. Schilling, our superintendent of School District 158, up here as well. I know you wanted to say a few words, Dr. Schilling. The floor is yours.
Do I need a microphone?
I think we can get you a microphone. Thank you, Fabian.
Okay, good evening, everyone. So we are here to recognize Glen's 5th grade boys and girls basketball teams. And I'm actually going to let Mr. Earnshaw speak a little bit more about this, but I'd like to give you just a little bit of history. So in 2012, Mr. Earnshaw became the principal of Glen. In 2018, Mrs. Sikowski became the assistant principal at Glen. And 5 years ago, we hired Mr. Light to be the coach of our boys basketball team. And so at Glen with them, we have created a strong culture of physical fitness, health, wellness, and sports. Glen hosts an annual breast cancer walk in October. We hosted a student-led assembly with retired Major League Baseball player Curtis Granderson, who some of you know is a graduate of our very own TF South High School. They placed first in the nation in the National Teacher Fit 100-Day Wellness Challenge in 2021-2022, after placing second in the United States for the 2 years before that. And with Coach Like at the helm, the boys and girls teams, he's coached the boys for 5 years and the girls for 2 years. They have an overall record of 34 wins, only 8 losses, numerous undefeated seasons, and 6 District 158 fifth grade championships. Congratulations. And so Mr. Earnshaw will talk a little bit more in a minute here about this year's seasons, but I'd also like to note that last year in 2025, Coach Light was honored by the Illinois Director of Student Activities with an Outstanding Activity Advisor Award, which is a state-level award for his role in coaching at Oakland. I'm happy to turn this over to Mr. Earnshaw to share a little more.
Thank you, Dr. Schilling. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Again, I'm Mike Earnshaw, principal at Oak Glen. I'm going to say a few things about our coaches. Mr. Jamari Green, he student taught with us, and then we hired him as a paraprofessional, and then Lester Kroll, our primary center, stole him after winter break and put him in a teaching position. But he came back every day for practices and for our game, so I appreciate all he's done for us. Dr. Schilling said a lot about Coach Light already. Coach Light is just a standout individual. From when he took over the basketball program 5 years ago with the boys, and he kind of looked at me and said, this is more than just basketball. Like, I want the players to be good humans, to represent Oak Glen, to represent their community and their families. And he would hold certain days of the week where there wouldn't be a physical practice. There would be, we're going to do homework studying and get caught up and make sure we're ready for these upcoming tests. He would hold them accountable for behavior in school. If they do something, it doesn't matter if you're the number one shooter on our team, you may have to sit back and because of your behavior. So he would instill these qualities in our players. I mean, and it's shown this year, and I know we're going to introduce our players in a minute here, was by far one of my favorite seasons. These students, these athletes were just by far top notch. Almost every week everyone was eligible. We didn't have to come down and have hard discussions with them. They knew that they were representing Oak Glen, their families in Lansing, and I'm so proud of them for what they've done. Our girls went 5-1 this season. I mean, they won the championship, unanimously. Before their last game, there was no way they weren't going to not win it. So we had already known based on the stats. The boys went 3-3. This season was very interesting because we've never had it where both Oak Glen, Coolidge, and Revis all had 3 wins. So what it came down to was points allowed. And Oak Glen had allowed the least amount of points, which just shows they played as a team defensively to make sure, they didn't give up that many points, and they won. So I want to give, a shout out to our students, Coach Green, Coach Light. Thank you for all you do for our kids. Like I said, just stand out gentlemen. I'm honored to work alongside them. So I'm going to pass the mic over to Coach Light.
I wrote a speech down really quick, a few minutes. Can you hear me? First off, I want to thank the Village of Lansing and the board for recognizing our teams. This truly means a lot to our school and these kids. I'm incredibly proud of this group. They worked hard all season, supported each other, and represented Oak Glen with great character. What makes this special just isn't the championships, it's the teamwork, growth, and effort that they showed every day. As a coach, moments like this mean a lot to me personally. Basketball was once taken away from me because of injuries when I was younger. So to be able to give back to these kids and watch them succeed is something I'll never take for granted. I'm proud of every single one of them. Thank you again for honoring our teams tonight, and thank you to the parents, teachers, and community for supporting these students, and also our principals. Okay, let's start with the girls first, since it's right here. Jordan James, come up here. Great job, great job. All right. Haley Donaldson. All right, next. Caliana Hart. Milan Evans. Addison Coleman. Amira Broadnax. Virginia Acuna. Not in attendance, but I will call her name still anyway. Kaylee Morales. Raya Maxey. Chikamso Okoro. Ava Leo. And then finally, Zasha Thomas.
I'd like to just take a moment to let the parents take some photos here if you guys like. Coaches, maybe if you want to stand in on both sides there. Come on, Megan. All right.
Good job, girl.
So let the boys can get recognized, and then maybe we'll do take a one big picture. But if you guys stand over there, thanks.
All right, now I gotta get to my boys. And one thing I also acknowledge really quick is that I don't have just fifth graders, I got 4 fourth graders. Who, for the first time ever, I had 4 fourth graders on this team, but they showed great leadership, great poise, and I mean, I'm blessed to really have them. As well as all of you, to step into 5th grade atmosphere and do well, and in school, that's amazing. So. All right, first one is, hold on one second. Chris Ledesma. Devontae McNabb. Bryson Madison. Don't see him in attendance tonight, but Jonas Anderson, I'll still call his name. Next, I have Mateo Reyes. Aziz Paramo. Amari Daniels. Caden West. Amari Carradine. Nicholas Petrie. Although he's not here tonight because he has soccer, but for the first time in history, I had two brothers play on the same team. So, Nathaniel Petrie. Chase Chrisman. Even though he's not in attendance tonight, I'll say his name still, Gerald Major. Yeah. That's it.
Again, if parents would like to take a... Congratulations. But parents, if you guys would like to take a photo here, all right? All right, if we can bring the girls up. Maybe we'll get everyone tall in the back and come on this way here. Come on here, come on over this way here. Over Just make sure everyone can see your faces, okay? All right. Everybody look at the clock. That's the best, I would say, point of looking at. All right, well, I want to thank everyone and congratulations, first of all. I talked to the coaches and Superintendent Schilling. He said that you guys were just doing an amazing job out there. Again, thank you for representing 158 It is an honor. It's an honor to be the mayor and bring you guys up here. But you know what? It takes a village, and that's what it is. We have a great community here. We work very close, hand in hand with our school districts, our library, our park district. And it's so important that we always work together because, like I said, that's what creates a great community here in Lansing. And again, I love it. I love watching, all these young kids, moving on up, and with all the, the parents being out here and supporting the grandparents, the aunts and the uncles, and again, the community and the school district. Dr. Schilling, thank you so much again for making this all happen. Coaches, I appreciate it. I know we got Amy Namison, she's our trustee to the youth programs. So Trustee Namison, if you want to say a few words, but I think you have a little something for the kids as well.
On behalf of the village of Lansing, we just wanted to fund your guys' pizza party this year for all your hard work.
So
For everything that you did this year, I know the kids, they just love you guys.
Yeah. So congratulations. Congratulations, all right. Good to see you guys. Appreciate it. All right. Working hard. Good So we'll recess just for like a couple minutes, and then if the parents want to take off or whatever, you don't have to sit through this meeting unless you really want to. But again, thanks for being out here and congratulations. All right, we're going to go right back into the meeting here. Thank you again. I'm going to move on to our village administrator's report. Mr. Podgorski.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to our village attorney's report. Mr. Walsh.
Nothing to report, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. We'll move on to finance and HRC. Trustee Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Village of Lansing. I would like to go ahead and make a motion to approve total payroll in the amount of $707,741.91 and total accounts payable for $3,557,762.46. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve bills and payroll. Total payroll being $707,741.91, and total accounts payable $3,557,762.46. We have a motion and a second. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Smith? Aye. Trustee Abbasy?
Aye.
Trustee Zeldin?
Aye.
Trustee Johnson? Aye. Trustee Lamont?
Aye.
No other motions. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, trustee. Moving on to airport and insurance, trustee Valencia, trustee Smith.
No items. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Moving on to fire and economic development, trustee Abbasy.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance number 26-008, amending Article 2 of Chapter 8 of the Lansing Code, creating a Class 9 liquor license for Johnny K's Restaurant, 17816 Torrance Avenue.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on ordinance number 26-008, amending Article 2 of Chapter 8 of the Lansing Code, creating a Class 9 liquor license for Johnny K's Restaurant located at 17816 Torrance Avenue. Do the trustees have any discussions or concerns? If not, clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Abbasy.
Aye.
Trustee Alderman.
Aye.
Trustee Robinson. Aye. Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
And Trustee Smith. Aye.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance number 26-009, granting a special use permit for a truck repair facility within the M1 Limited Manufacturing District, RVN Development, LLC, 3120 170th Street.
We have a motion and a second on ordinance number 26-009, granting a special use permit for a truck repair facility within the M1 Limited Manufacturing District, RVN Development LLC, located at 3120 170th Street. Are there any questions or discussions by the trustees? If not, clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Abbasy.
Aye.
Trustee Alderman.
Aye.
Trustee Robinson. Aye. Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee Smith. Aye.
Thank you. Moving on, I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance number 26-010, granting a variance alleviating the requirements of landscape material along the northeast and west portions of a property within the M1 Limited Manufacturing District, RVN Development LLC, 3120 170th Street.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on ordinance number 26-010, granting a variance alleviating the requirements for landscaping material along the north, east, and west portions of a property within the M1 Limited Manufacturing District, RVN Development LLC, located at 3120 170th Street. Again, are there any questions or discussions by the trustees? If not, clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Abbasy.
Aye.
Trustee Alderman.
Aye.
Trustee Robinson. Aye. Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee Smith. Aye.
Thank you, Mayor. No further items.
Thank you, trustee. Moving on to Police and Public Works, trustees Eldermoss.
Thank you, Mayor. A few action items this evening. First up, make a motion that we approve Resolution 1537, recognizing the retirement of K-9 Officer Luna and transferring her ownership to Sergeant William Mason.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on Resolution 1537, recognizing the retirement of K-9 Officer Luna and transferring her ownership to Sergeant William Mason. Do trustees have any questions or discussions? If not, clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Alderman.
Aye.
Trustee Abbasy.
Aye.
Trustee Robinson. Aye. Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee Smith. Aye.
Thank you. Next, I move to pass Resolution 1538, authorizing the execution of an application for the Cook County Community Development Block Grant 2026 program year.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on Resolution 1538, authorizing the execution of an application for the Cook County Community Development Block Grant 2026 program year. Are there any questions or discussions by the trustees? If not, clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Alderman.
Aye.
Trustee Abbasy.
Aye.
Trustee Robinson. Aye. Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee Smith. Aye.
Finally, I move that we authorize advertising for bids for the Chicago Avenue roadway reconstruction project north of 170th Street to the sports complex.
Second.
We have a motion and a second authorizing advertising for bid for the Chicago Avenue roadway reconstruction project north of 170th Street to the sports complex. Again, do the trustees have any questions or discussions? If not, clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Abbasy.
Aye.
Trustee Alderman.
Aye.
Trustee Robinson. Aye. Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee Smith. Aye.
Thank you, Mayor. That's all I have for this meeting.
Thank you, trustee. We're going to move on to building, IT, L&N, and marketing. Trustee Lamont.
Thank you, Mayor. I have 4 items today. First, make a motion to adopt ordinance number 26-011, authorizing the execution of an annexation agreement between the Village of Lansing and Commonwealth Edison Company regarding the property located near Thornton Lansing Road and Paxton Avenue.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on ordinance 26-011, authorizing the execution of an annexation agreement between the Village of Lansing and Commonwealth Edison Company regarding property located near Thornton Lansing Road and Paxton Avenue, 1983 Thornton Lansing Road. Again, are there any questions or discussions by the trustees? If not, clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee Donaldson. Trustee Abbasy. Trustee Smith. Trustee Zeldin.
Aye. Second item, make motion to adopt ordinance 26-0112, annexing property located near Thornton Lansing Road and Paxton Avenue into the Village of Lansing, 1983 Thornton Lansing Road.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on ordinance number 26-012, annexing property located near Thornton Lansing Road and Paxton Avenue into the Village of Lansing, 1983 Thornton Lansing Road. Again, any questions or discussion by the trustees? If not, clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee Donaldson.
Aye.
Trustee Abbasy.
Aye.
Trustee Smith. Trustee Zeldin.
Aye. Next item, make a motion to adopt ordinance 26-013, granting a special use permit for an electronic reader board sign within the B3 Business District to Golden Bear Pancake and Creperie, 16851 Torrance Avenue.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on ordinance 26-013, granting a special use permit for electronic reader board sign within the B3 Business District, Golden Bear Pancake and Creperie, located at 16851 Torrance Avenue. Again, any questions or discussions by the trustees? If not, clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee Donaldson.
Aye.
Trustee Abbasy.
Aye.
Trustee Smith. Trustee Valencia. Trustee Zeldin.
Aye. Final item, make a motion to adopt resolution 1539, authorizing the execution of an agreement between the village and Caleb Leisinger for real estate broker services.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on resolution number 1539, authorizing the execution of an agreement between the village and Caleb Leisinger for real estate broker services. Again, any questions or discussion by the trustees? If not, clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee Donaldson.
Aye.
Trustee Abbasy.
Aye.
Trustee Smith. Trustee Zeldin.
Aye. And that's all for me, Mayor.
Thank you, trustee. We're going to move on to youth center and venue operations. Trustee Donaldson.
Thank you, Mayor. One item on the agenda tonight, I'd like to adopt resolution number 1540, approving the release of certain minutes of executive session meetings.
Second. All right.
I'd like to make one comment.
Sure.
There's a small typo on Exhibit B when it's providing the listed dates. The first date is listed as April 10th. It should be April 20th. It should be 10th. So, and then so if there's a motion to amend,
Yeah. Motion. Okay.
as motion amended as stated.
Motion to amend is stated.
And then do I?
We need a second.
Yep, need a second.
Second.
Clerk, take a roll call.
Trustee Abbasy.
Aye.
Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee Smith. Trustee Donaldson. Trustee Zeldin. Sorry about that.
So now the amendment's approved and we have the motion on the table to approve the ordinance.
Gotcha, and it was seconded already, so thank you. So we have a motion and a second on resolution 1540, approving the release of certain minutes in the executive session meetings. Questions and by any of the trustees or concerns? If not, clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Donaldson. Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee Abbasy.
Aye.
Trustee Smith. Trustee Zeldin.
Aye.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, trustee. We're going to move on to our agenda here is the public comment. Public comment is 5 minutes for anybody who would like to step up to the mic, but please give us your name and your address. So anybody from the audience who would like to speak tonight?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
I noticed the eyes, but let me say I'm sorry for the shades. I left the Midwestern Eye Center and they died in my feet. But the shades they give you are too dark to draw. I had to go home first and then so I can actually make it to the meeting, which is important to me. My first name is Dorothy, my last name is Huff. I've been a Lansing citizen since 2007, so I'm very familiar with Lansing. I love the town. It was a great idea for my small children at the time. I went from a renter to a homeowner for a lot of years. My concern while I'm here today is very, very important to me. I've spoke with the animal control officer and multiple officers about a concern that I really have. A little history, my husband now, 26 years CTA supervisor, he retired due to a medical disability that he acquired none of his own on the job, which required me, a 17-year nurse at Rush Medical Center, to retire to take care of him. Okay, that's a little history. Recently, in the last 3 years, at my new address, I'm sorry, you wanted my address, right? 3455 North Schultz Drive, so I'm right in Schultz Park. Recently, in the last 3 years, my husband has been unable to do a lot of things outside of the house. One is picking up cat poop, which is my problem. He recently suffered a stroke picking up yard waste from the animals 2 years ago, which leaves him unable to care for other people's animals. And if we have to keep our dog on a leash, which we paid $1,300 to put up a 11-foot fence for our Rottweiler who does not come outside, he's a home dog, okay? And if we have to see responsibilities for our animal, and we haven't had any problems with our animal, I think other people should. Here is my concern. I called in with a concern of the neighbors feeding the cats. There's 12. I have pictures, not getting anyone in trouble, just to see why are there so many cats in our neighborhood, which now I have to pick it up. And I'm not having fun doing this. So we've spent $986 last year to have mulch relayed, dug up and relayed. Why? Because the cats won't stop digging it up, burying their poop. Now, I was told that this concern was already stressed by multiple neighbors. I get that, I'm not them. I'm literally stressing that I'm not gonna end up in somebody's hospital because I have to keep doing this. Is there some way, I don't want to list, I don't want somebody else to call. I've been in Lansing since 2007. I pay my taxes, it's verified. You can look it up, I own my home. So I have the right to address a concern that has put my husband's down. Okay, now I can't cut the grass or mow the yard. I don't come and ask the Lansing Department for help. So I'm asking for help to help control the cats in our neighborhood. Is there some kind of ordinance that suggests that the neighbors should not feed the cats? Because if you feed them, they come back. But they use our yard as the toilet. Now it's not fair. Now this year what we're going to do, April 1st, the contractors are coming out to pull up all the mulch again and lay rock. Do you know how much that's costing us on a fixed income, which I have my husband's disability from Social Security. And he also get a pension, but why are we putting this much money into other people's cats? We're paying to keep them out of our yard on a fixed income because I can't go to work. So, okay, he gets a great pension, he gets Social Security, but do you know how much money we spend to take care of the home like everybody else? Now, I moved from Wildwood, part of Lansing. My children went to TF South, graduated, great community. They went to Nathan Hill. They was in the DARE program. They've gotten awards and certifications. My oldest child, she's 35. I have a 33-year-old, a 28, and a 25. I'm a first-time grandmother. So when my kids go in the yard, my grandbabies come and bring cat poop and think it's a ball, I have a problem with that. So now they can't play in the backyard because they trolled the fence to keep the dog in. Now the cats are there in the front and the back. And that's a problem for me when my grandchildren can't play in the backyard. Is there some way we can address, because I am too old to be picking up cat poop, bent over and try to take care of my husband and visit my grandchildren who can't go outside. That's a huge problem. And I know it's been addressed multiple times, but nothing is being done about it except we catch them, we clip the ears so we know it's ours, we neuter them and we vaccinate them, and we send them back into the street. That's not fair. Because now I'm still picking up poop. Or my husband catches a weird allergy, and mind you, he's on the heart transplant list. Look it up. Because we found out that he has a, what they call cardiomyopathy, is when the liver attacks the heart. So he's on the heart transplant list, which he's not supposed to do anything that overexerts him. You can look him up on the American Heart Association list. So we're good people. We're good people. We just want control of the cats. I'm an animal lover. I'm not going to say kill them. Just keep them out the yard. And I think that's just fair. Now we're spending more money to redo our landscaping in the front that I so love. The lights get kicked over. The plants get kicked over. What is the problem? What do we need? Do we need more resources? Is some way I can help? Capture the cats? I don't know. But this is becoming a problem in my home.
Gotcha.
This is becoming a problem.
Yeah. Chief Al Phillips, can you possibly do a little addressing on this situation? And like I said, I know that there are multiple cats that, are out through our community. And you're not the only one that's been, we've been having issues with it. So I know it's an issue. And I'll talk to our building inspector, Zoran, about maybe some ordinances as well. But,
Has to be.
yeah.
Stop feeding them so they can stop coming.
I just want to let you know, I hear you. And hopefully we can kind of resolve some of this management that we have.
I appreciate it.
Yes.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Got it. Anyone else from the public? If not, we're going to close that portion. Do the trustees have anything for old business? Do the trustees have anything for new business? If not, I need a motion to adjourn. So moved. Second. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Abbasy. Aye. Trustee Zellner.
Aye.
Trustee Robinson.
Aye.
Trustee Smith. Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee Glen.
We're just going to take just a quick, brief minute while clerk gets situated. Thank you. All right, we're going to start the committee of the whole meeting, March 3rd, 2026. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Zellner.
Here.
Trustee Robinson.
Here.
Trustee Abbasy.
Here.
Trustee Smith. Present.
Here.
Trustees have before them the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting from February 17th, 2026. Are there any questions or discussions? If not, I need a motion to accept. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Clerk, please take the roll.
I'm sorry. Trustee Abbasy.
Yes.
Trustee Zellner.
Trustee.
Trustee Robinson.
Aye.
Trustee Smith. Aye. Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to the mayor's report, I do not have anything under the committee of the whole tonight. We're going to move on to our village administrator's report, Mr. Podborski.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight in the report, we're going to present the annual health insurance renewal. I'd like to welcome Tony Buscemi from our health insurance brokers hub. It's been a couple of years since Tony's been here. He's been remote a couple of times, and before that he was remote because of the pandemic, and so we're glad to welcome Tony back in person. It's good to see him. We see him on the calls a lot, but it's good to have him here in person, Tony.
Good to be here. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, trustees and village board.
So Tony's going to take us through the renewal. He will kind of talk through where our claims are at so far through the fiscal year. He'll recap a little bit about some of the plan changes we've made over the last few years. And then he also
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Good. And then Tony will also take us through some of the proposed changes to this year's this plan here in an effort to control some of the costs and at least make it somewhat palatable. So turn it over to Tony for tonight's presentation.
Yeah, thank you. So, boy, insurance after all those kids, it's a hard act to follow. So, either you guys are really up for it tonight, or you just decided not to put it off at the end like we normally do. But we'll get moving. Is it okay if I come up here? Because I might just point using the screen here. So, if that's all right. Okay, very good. Let's see. How can I get this slide up here, baby? This one right here, this summary slide. Looks like we're just cutting off a little bit. There we go. Perfect. Thank you. So this first page, and I think you have this all in your packet, so it's probably going to translate better as you're looking at your packets. We got a lot of numbers and details here that tends to be kind of small for presentation, but I'm going to do my best to kind of give you the highlights, and then of course I'll be happy to answer any questions. On the top here, on our packet, it is the end indicated. We've had a lot of meetings leading up to this point. We're tasked with helping the village try to manage this expenditure every year, the employee benefits for all the employees and retirees of the village of Lansing. This year's renewal, when we did our first initial projections, was coming in at about 17.8%, with dental thrown in 17.2%. We did some negotiating with Blue Cross Blue Shield. I'll get into the mechanics of the plan a little bit because keep in mind, Blue Cross Blue Shield is really just providing the infrastructure for your plan, meaning the village is self-funded. So you guys pay your own claims. And what we do is we basically look at your claims experience, and what we're trying to help you do every year is set a realistic budget based on how your claims are running and how we expect them to run going forward. So that analysis, when it was all said and done, came up to about a 16.5% increase. We'll have more details after this. The dental's coming in at about just under 3%. We were able to get a 2-year rate guarantee on the administrative fee. The dental, like the medical, is self-funded, so essentially the Village of Lansing is the dental insurance company and the medical insurance company using Delta Dental and Blue Cross Blue Shield basically to run and administer the plan and provide reinsurance. Vision, I need to update my slide because it's actually better than this. The vision came in at -5. I forgot to get this in here. So you're actually looking great on vision. And we looked at an option that the village will be able to do to upgrade that plan, still at a -2% cost decrease, but yet giving a better frame allowance for the members. Standard life insurance, that is actually a separate renewal. We'll talk about that at another time because that's not up for renewal right now. And then the flexible spending account through EDC, no changes there. This is a very busy chart. I know some of you have seen this before in the past, but what we do with this is we try to compare every year. We look, it's a look back chart. So we look back every year where we projected the village's budget to be each year, and then on the far right we measure how the village actually performed. And you can see those lines on the top are running very close to each other. I'm going to focus on 2025, 26, our top line, because this is our current year that we're in right now as we speak. As you can see, and I know Brian's not here tonight, but I know this is his favorite part of the presentation, we put in red when you're running high. So the village is running actually over budget. Not a surprise. The last 2 years, this year so far and last year, have actually both been under budget. What does that mean? Simply, you've had more claims than expected. You're not alone. A lot of groups have been going through this, especially the last few years. There's a myriad of reasons for that. Technology, prescription drugs, which we all hear about, all of that kind of stuff, and probably not enough time to spend on it here, but happy to have a deeper discussion with anybody that's interested. So far this year, we've got you at about 110% over, 10% over budget. In actuality, it's really 6%. This is just a little technical adjustment we make because our chart here fixes on that enrollment number at 272 that we set. But every month we send a report to the village where we're adjusting that enrollment. So it's not as bad as it seems. You're actually running at 106 instead of 110. But you're still running high. I'm pointing this out for a reason. One, because it gives us an opportunity to sort of look back and see how you're running. And this year's not wrapped up yet because this is actually through 8 months. We still got 4 months to go. So we're hoping to see this red number come down. But basically every year the village has actually outperformed. What does that mean? You've actually come in under budget more years than not. So when we look at this chart, I've had the pleasure of working with you guys for about 20 years now. Anywhere you see red about, I think there's actually 5, there might be one sneaking on the bottom that's not showing up. You've ran over about 5 of those 20 years. So what does that mean? It means that your self-funded plan is really in the long haul, over the long term, performing very well. We're in a rough patch right now. And, we're helping the village try to get through that, setting that budget appropriately next year. But overall, the plan has actually performed very well. This box sort of represents on the average over the long haul. Your average utilization rate is actually coming at 98%. What does that mean? Over that long haul period of time, on average, you've actually finished 2% less than we expected you to perform. Okay.
Maybe you can roll it up just another half now. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there's a few more reds down there. Sorry, we missed a few. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we got 7 reds out of 20 or 21. So about a third. The point I'm trying to make is that, we can't really sugarcoat the fact that we're kind of a rough sea area right now, but typically what happens is that claims get, they don't stay bad forever. And we work with you to set those budgets accordingly going forward to be able to accommodate that increased claim exposure. Okay, next slide. Oh, that's me. Sorry. This is just a very quick summary. We provide a look back to last year where we talked to the village about how the plan performed last year. This year we give a report year to date. There's our 106 where we're sitting right now through claims through December. And then this piece talks about fixed costs and assumptions. The fixed costs, this is the piece that you're actually buying from Blue Cross Blue Shield. So when you're buying services of Blue Cross, you're not transferring 100% of your risk because you guys are self-funded. You're taking on the risk and paying your claims. What you are buying from them is administration, stop loss reinsurance. Because even though you guys are self-funded, we set limits to how much exposure the village will have. You don't want to be paying for a bunch of $1 million claims. And right now that exposure is capped at $80,000 per person. We're going to talk about that too because we're recommending you guys move that up and try to save some money. So this is the piece that we can actually work on your behalf with Blue Cross in advance. We go back to Blue Cross Blue Shield when we get the renewal and we rework it with them. We basically kind of beat them up a little bit and say, look, let's get your admin down a little bit. Let's see if we get the stop loss down. So we did get the stop loss to come down a bit, not as much as we would have liked, but we'll take whatever we can get. Your fixed cost came in at 26.9, almost 27%. We worked them down to 21%, so about a 6% savings on the fixed piece. And then the overall down here, 16.5 medical and dental we're expecting. By the time you take out contributions, because you're taking contributions from your employees and retirees, it actually works out to a net to the village of about 11%. So we're recommending that as a benchmark to set your budget for the next year, just to accommodate this increased claims exposure that you guys have been experiencing. All right, this is kind of the guts page, as we call it. And then maybe, I don't know if we can roll that up a little bit. But this is kind of where, we talk about the sausage being made, right? So we have last year's numbers for 25 on the exhibit for medical, dental, and then 26 right here. And then we measure the change. So this is our 16.5% that we're recommending the budget be set at. We take out contributions. We're going to talk a little bit more about that because the village is going to make some changes on the contributions this year for some of the retirees. And then the net to the village of 11% down here at the bottom. I'm going very high level, so if I'm going too fast, pull me back. These are just renewal projections. We call these medical equivalent rates. So keep in mind, because you're self-funded, you're not buying these rates from Blue Cross Blue Shield. We're actually setting those rates for you using industry accepted underwriting. And these are the rates that we boil it down to for you guys to use as contributions, as well as to bill your retirees to remain on the plan for all 4 of your plans and dental. All right. This was just a quick snapshot. Every month we send a report to the village. Our data analytics department actually grabs the claims experience from your carriers, they analyze it, and then they put it in this report that's updated every month that we send to the village. So just a couple things to point out very quick. We look at past years, year over year, 23, 24 plan year into 25 where we're at now. In this part is circled, there's our 106, so that's where we're running high. These are our large claimants over here. So right now, we've got about 41 large claimants on the village's plan right now, accounting for 58% of the total claims experience. Not unusual, it's just large claims are getting larger and larger. They're accounting for a greater portion of a lot of our group's overall claims outgo. And then this pie chart down here, I'll just point out because I was referring to fixed costs previously. The fixed cost portion represents about this 25% slice here. The rest of it, the blue and the red, are your claims. Blue being medical and red being prescription. So you can see that's going to be the lion's share of what your outgo is. And claims are claims. While we do our best to predict and analyze and use industry accepted underwriting to project forward, nobody has that crystal ball. Nobody's going to know exactly today exactly what your claims are going to be. That's the risk piece that the village kind of takes on, that risk piece. And you're doing that for a good purpose because you're basically saving money being self-funded versus fully insured, where the carrier is going to set your rate high and you're never going to be able to come down from it. That chart that I showed you on the first page where you saw all those blacks versus the reds, those are years that you beat if you were fully insured you would have paid those higher numbers. And it's like winner take all, Blue Cross wins, because you guys had good years. So you guys enjoyed the good years. The downside though, of course, if you're having a bad year like this year, you feel that as well. But we work with you to budget that. And we know that the village is doing that. All right, let's keep moving here. I think Dan told me I had 10 minutes, so I'm trying to keep it going here. And by the way, I'm happy to have sit down. We've had a lot of meetings, but Dan knows I'm always happy to dig into this stuff with you guys. All right. Prior year plan changes. We want to demonstrate, the village hasn't just passively sat by year after year and said, okay, we'll take the increase and keep moving. I mean, we've really worked with the village to try to implement different tools each year to try to keep those cost increases down. So like the most recent one last year, we brought in a lower price HMO network, Blue Advantage HMO. Same exact benefits as your HMO Illinois. In fact, that's an opportunity we talked to the village about, because you have a lot of people that are still sitting on the higher cost HMO Illinois plan that could very easily slip over to Blue Advantage, because we did a disruption analysis and found like only 2 people would be displaced by using Blue Advantage providers. What does that mean? It means you got a lot of HMO Illinois members that are using providers that are also available at Blue Advantage. That makes sense. So they can make that change like that. It would save the village money. It would save them money because they have a lower contribution. We just got to get people incentive to make those changes, right? And obviously, if there's anybody that needs to stay on because of a specific provider, they can do that. You guys pushed the retiree contributions on the pre-65 group up in May of 24. That's going to go up for all groups this year. We'll get to that slide next. Increasing deductibles and co-pays, that's always a common method to try to keep your cost increases mitigated. We put in a lot of management programs behind the scenes with Blue Cross Blue Shield to try to help manage the prescription spend. I think you don't even have to be in the industry to know what's going on with like specialty drugs and the cost of all those high-priced medications that we see advertised at night. The costs are going through the roof. So, we always recommend picking up those management programs to help the village manage those expenses. All right, let's get on to this year. These are some things that we're recommending this year. We've got an analysis here that we talked about that individual stop loss deductible. Again, you're self-funded, but you have a cap to your liability for each individual. Today that cap's at $80,000. We're recommending moving it up to $100,000. What does that mean? Well, it means you're going to save premium dollars, okay, because you have to pay premium for that stop loss coverage. That's the one piece of insurance, if you will, that you have in a self-funded plan. But the trade-off is this: you're going to pick up some risk because you might have more claimants that hit that $100,000. We have an analysis that we conducted that makes us very comfortable recommending that move. We think it would be a good move for the village to take on that additional risk and potentially save that premium dollars. The village is actually increasing the contribution that they'll make into member accounts on HSA. We had an HSA last year. We had a few brave souls go into it. That's typically what happens. You introduce it 1 year, and then HSA enrollment starts to increase year after year. Once people talk to each other and they say, "Hey, how'd that HSA work for you last year?" Well, fine, saved me money. Village gave me money. So last year's incentive, the village put $1,000 into accounts. This year they're boosting that up to $1,500. As I mentioned on the vision, there's a little increase on the frame allowance that VSP is allowing, and they're still coming in below current cost. There's a program called the Prescription Drug Split Fill Program that Blue Cross recommended, that we in turn recommended as well. We always recommend any and all management programs because you're a self-funded employer. We have to go over those with the village and then get the village to either say yay or nay. And we're recommending a yay on that one because what it does is it allows people that get what's called a split fill. Sometimes when you get a prescription and it's a very high-priced drug, you might need only like a 15-day supply versus a full month supply. Okay? This allows coverage for those partial splits at a lower cost. It'll save the plan money. It'll save the members money. And then the big one, I think, is the retiree premium adjustment at the bottom. Right now, pre-65 is at 60, up to 50%. It's going to increase to 50% for all retirees as of 5/1/26 this year. Oh, and then at the end of the year, there's going to be one more step up on the retirees going up to 60% on 11/1. So this is all proposed right now. I think it's up to the village to make final determinations on this, but this is what's in the works as far as changes for the plan this year. Again, all in an effort to try to mitigate costs.
Tony, is any of this reflected in the numbers in terms of percentages that we're seeing? An increase?
Yes.
This is assuming we accept all of these.
It is, yeah, it is, because when we measured the contributions on that overall slide, we went from 16.5 down to 11. It assumes that you're going to make those increased contributions on retirements. So, because they're going to pay more. So that'll help offset the cost. So yes, the quick answer there, Trustee, is that yes, those numbers are included. Stop loss analysis. So we do an analysis on this. We've done this analysis in the past, and in some years in the past, we've looked at it with the village, and we're like, it doesn't make sense. We've got too many large claims, or it might be too risky to raise that and save the premium dollars. Well, this year we have a different spin on our analysis. I won't go through every line, but I'll kind of cut to the quick and tell you that working with our data analytics team, here we go. We recognized an opportunity here for the village to take on more risk, so move from an 80,000 stop loss, individual stop loss to 100. We're freeing up 340,000 of premium dollars. Okay, that's a hard cost. And then the trade-off is that you are picking up potentially another 360 claim liability. That's a potential. We don't know if you're going to have that or not. You don't know that. Nobody knows that today. But that's part of the risk element that self-funded employers take on in an effort to manage their health plans more efficiently over the long haul. And more often times than not, it works. Our analysis based on experience said that, we came up with a break-even point of 17 claimants. And we look back at your experience, that would have to hit 100,000 to basically wash even. Your history shows about 15.3. So based on that analysis, working with our data analytics people, we're recommending, to take the chance. I think the village still needs to determine that, but we think it would be a safe one for you guys to do if you're interested. Really quick on the health savings account. So every year, the IRS kind of has to, those, on health savings account, I won't go into a big dissertation about HSAs, but essentially, they provide members a pre-tax opportunity to put money aside to pay for their medical expenses. And then the IRS regulates how these plans work. So long story short, the minimum deductible that we have to have on the HSA this year is $3,400. So what that means is that on your HSA plan, we have to increase your individual deductible from $3,300 to $3,400. That's to keep the plan in compliance, so that the IRS will still look at that and say, okay, great, that's a qualified plan. We'll let people put money away pre-tax. We'll let the village fund pre-tax, and it allows all those tax-free benefits and not a savings account. Keep the plan in compliance. We're getting there. As I mentioned earlier, the village is planning to contribute more to the HSAs, which is great because this is incentive. This is incentive for people to really look at that plan. A lot of people by nature are scared of higher deductibles. I don't want anything to do with that high deductible. But HSAs are a very great opportunity. I'll try not to be too soapbox here because I'm on an HSA. I've been on an HSA for many years, and it's worked great. We have a much higher deductible, but if I went back and measured all the premium dollars I've saved, and I have a family, we've had claims, we've had years where we've had, my girls have had to go to the hospital and stuff, but overall we've come out ahead, and I think it's just an opportunity that we need to continue to work with members on, because there's a lot of members that could really save money on an HSA if they really understand the true benefits. To top it off, if their employer is going to give them money, and I think that's another thing to pay attention to, that also kind of helps incent people to go into those health savings accounts as well. So the village is going to increase their initial contribution to $1,500, plus they're going to match the next $1,500. So if I join your HSA, you're going to give me $1,500 out of the chute, and then if I put another $1,500 in, you're going to match it. So again, if I'm an active member and I hear about tax-free money that I can get, I'm paying attention. We just need more people to pay attention to understand this, because this will benefit the village by a lower cost plan. It'll benefit a lot of these members by just paying less for their insurance. And being able to save on a pre-tax basis. All right, we're getting there, guys. Thank you. This is the VSP plan, just highlighting that increase on the frame allowance that you guys could take, still at a -2. The split bill program on the drugs, really there's some savings opportunities there, which is why we're recommending it. And I've gone through this very quickly. Any questions? The following slides are just the contribution slides, and they're in your packets. The numbers are teeny-weeny, but all the contributions that we measure that you would be charging all of your members, including retirees, on the plans are on the subsequent pages. That said, can I take any questions?
The 8 claimants that hit the stop loss this year, do we have data that reflects if they are repeat stop loss hitters?
We do. I don't know if it's in this presentation.
Is that factored into the break-even analysis and all?
Yes, yes. Donna, so my data analytics person, yes, that is part of that analysis, to your point. Because what she'll do is she'll track repeat large claimants. And that kind of goes into her mix. What's the likelihood? Because you may have some people, and I don't know offhand right now, I'd have to talk to my data analytic person, but you could have some folks there that say you have a colitis diagnosis or something. You're going to have that large claimant every year, right? As long as they're on the plan. So yes, the short answer to your question is yes. Those are factored into that analysis.
Putting out the break-even analysis for the option 2, we see that the benchmark is typically half what Lansing's averaging. Is that based on communities that have similar enrollment like the 272 that we have for our plan, or what is that based on?
This is this benchmark. I'm going to double check with that. I think it's a Blue Cross Blue Shield benchmark.
Okay.
So I can get clarity for you on that one, but I think it's a Blue Cross Blue Shield benchmark. But I think this is really, these two numbers are the big indicator here, the break even. We've established we have a tolerance for 17 claims reaching 100,000. And if you reach that point, your savings, your increased claim liability would wipe out your savings. You're basically break even at that point. But we sort of identified that as, a tolerable ceiling. And again, based on your history, we've had about 15 claims. So unless you have a much worse large claim year next year, we think it's a pretty safe bet. But again, nobody has that crystal ball. So you have to kind of ask yourself, what's our risk tolerance?
Tony, you mentioned when we first had down the fixed costs, the stop loss insurance with no change was projected to go up like $353,000 the very first time we met. So, therein sort of lies the recommendation for us moving to a higher stop loss. When we very, very first said, I know you guys made some. I know you whittled Blue Cross Blue Shield down a little bit, but our fixed costs were going up 26 or 30%.
Yeah.
It was because of this.
Mainly driven by the stop loss, because that's the biggest fixed cost.
Because we've had so many high claims.
Yes.
That stop loss insurance was going up by $350,000.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So this is a way to hopefully to mitigate some of it, to take a calculated risk that by increasing the stop loss from 80 to 100, that difference is essentially $20,000 per claim. As you mentioned, that'll save us $340,000 in stop loss
on the premium.
And that's how we get to a 17 is our break even.
Yes.
If we do have 17 large claims, that 17 large claims times the $20,000 increase makes up the $340,000.
Yeah, you're going to wash out and break even.
Right.
So,
but because we've been averaging 15.3, that's why it's a little bit of a calculated strategy.
It is calculated. It is calculated, and you can see the number changes depending on what like we didn't really talk about the 90,000 because I think when we looked at that more granularly when we met. But it seemed kind of clear if you're going to make the move, you may as well make a big jump because it's the greatest savings opportunity. But granted, you're taking on more risk as well. But again, it's kind of like all we can do in the insurance industry is kind of look back at where you've been and then try to make the best calculated estimates based on underwriting as to where we see you going. And we haven't seen you at 17 claims and say 100,000. It could happen.
Tony, would you mind going to slide 6? I want to just point out. So this is where you calculate what the premium equivalent is going to be.
Yes.
And so let's just focus on the top line there, the family.
Yes.
That's medical or prescription if you're in the PPO plan.
Correct.
So because our claims, because the renewal was projected to be a 17% increase, the premium equivalent is increasing by that amount. So, so for a lot of our active employees who again, the ones that are in our, great majority of our active employees are in collective bargaining agreements, and they're paying a percentage of the premium equivalent. So most of them are at 19%. So when our premium equivalent goes from $2,985 to $3,496, we're talking a $500 increase in what the monthly premium equivalent is. They're paying 19%. That's almost a $100 increase what the actives are going to pay per month. So when the question comes, well, how come we're making some of these other changes? I mean, that is the primary reason. And if you can also then flip to the large claimant page, which is 9. That's where we're incurring the most damage to the plan, and that's, as you mentioned, a lot of other plans that way. 58% of our overall claims are large claimants, and you've got 41 large claims over 25,000. And almost half of those are from the 2 retiree groups. 19 of the 41 large claims are from the retiree group. So that is the rationale behind, again, the adjustment. So the post-65 retirees moved to a 50% contribution, which is where the pre-65 group has been now for a year and a half, and then on 11. And that'll take effect on May 1st if these plan changes are approved. And then on November 1st, all the retirees will go with a 60% contribution, with the village covering 40%. And I want to reiterate to the board that in all of our collective bargaining agreements under insurance, there's the same clause in every CBA, which says that the village shall make available to retired employees the ability to participate in its group insurance program for individual and dependent coverage with premiums to be paid by the retired employee. That's the clause I want you to know. It's in all the CBAs with premiums to be paid by the retired employee. So the village, because up to this point, the village has been paying 50%. That is a large give back on the part of the village. So moving on November 1st to a 40% village contribution is still far in excess of what the collective bargaining agreements call for. So, these are all difficult decisions, but again, even with these changes, our actives are going to see major increases of what they're paying on a monthly basis. So these are calculated decisions that we make after we've probably met 8 or 10 times in the last 6 weeks to come up with these, and that's why we wanted you to recap the changes we've made in the last few years. All the deductibles increased a couple of years ago, the change in the prescription drug corollary. So I mean, we're always looking at every possible change that could be made in order to keep the plans as robust as they are, and they are good plans. That's the last thing I think anybody wants to do is cut into the quality of the plan. So that's kind of, again, sort of a calculated decision to arrive at this set of these sets of recommendations.
Questions, I don't know if it's a question for Tony or for Administrator Podgorski. I'm not very versed in health insurance, so in my limited knowledge, someone turns 65, they have access to Medicare. Is it common that an employer would offer group coverage to post-65 individuals versus having them off of a group plan and going on to Medicare directly?
Yeah, so it's why you don't see retiree plans in private industry much anymore. In Illinois, as a governmental entity, you know, we have a lot of school districts and munis, you by law have to allow retirees to stay on the plan. So, the quick answer.
Post 65, you have to require them still.
Yeah. The Illinois law doesn't say you have to keep them on at 65. Illinois law says that you have to allow, like for your age 55, 20 years of service, you retire early, those former employees retirees are entitled to stay on the plan up to 65. The Illinois law doesn't say that you have to keep them on at 65 because they have Medicare. But a lot of munis and school districts make that offer. And, you know, as a result, and especially in your guys' situation, because you're actually subsidizing the cost. So you have a lot of retirees that are steadily staying on your plan, which is, we're all going to be retirees hopefully one of these days soon, right? But let's face it, as we get older, we have a lot more expenses. So that's one of the reasons why you see some of the increases that you're seeing here. Most private plans that are out there, yeah, don't even provide retiree coverage anymore. So we're not suggesting get rid of it. I don't think you could get rid of it even if you wanted to, just based on Illinois law. But to answer your question, as far as to age 65, we see a lot of, like our school districts are a good example. A lot of those employees could stay with the plan, but a lot of them don't because they have to pay for it and they have other options. You know, most people at age 65 have the option to go to Medicare. You know, so you make it to Medicare, you make it. You know,
to be clear though, for the village, going to Medicare is not an option. It wasn't an option of a mandatory.
It's not an option, it's mandatory.
So when you turn 65, speaking as a recent retiree, once I hit 65, I was told, you go to Medicare and you start paying, you know, Part A is where you put Part B cost. No, but also no deduction from what the village is requiring of the plan. So even though Medicare is kicking in and there's added costs there, there wasn't any reduction in the premium for staying on the village plan.
Yeah, so can I address that really quick? I can give you some background if you want to know an opinion on that. I don't want to speak out of turn, so. Okay, so once upon a time, a lot of plans, retired plans, because to your point, when you're 65 and on Medicare, just like your 65 retirees are now, you're right, they have Medicare. And Medicare is now primary payroll. What's happened over the years is that it's really the prescription piece that's driven the cost, because now we're seeing large claimants, for example, that aren't in the hospital. They're not because they have surgery, it's because they're on a high-priced specialty medication. And a lot of retirees, I do the same thing. They're staying on your plan because you have a very good drug benefit. And that drug benefit, you know, doesn't offset with Medicare. So that's why you see now employers are holding the rates for retirees the same as active, because they picked up a lot more exposure and risk, even on the retiree pieces, even having Medicare primary. Does that make sense?
We pick up a lot more risk for a lot more years than the general industry. They're not retiring at 50. Municipalities are, and police and fire in particular, retiring at 50.
Just reliving the anguish of 2024. I had to break the news to our recent retirees of some serious increases, and we stair-stepped that, and this is going to be all news to them. So I called. So just to be clear, as I was looking at the sheet that our administrator had pointed out just recently, here I think it was number 9, we're talking about the active cases that were the most expensive. When it says post 65, that's talking about our retirees.
Yes.
And I'm counting 9 post 65s out of 41, with 2 being in the higher than 75.
There's pre-65s in there too, Jerry. So retirees that are under 65 are on that list.
Gotcha.
Yeah, if you look at, you're looking at the status column, right? It's a mix of active, pre-65 and post-65.
So to be fair, we need to include both.
Yes.
Do we have a analysis of other municipalities in terms of what their premium share with their retirees is?
So we do have benchmarking data that we provided to the village. Our data is based on national, so, and we've had this discussion and question a lot too. We don't have like comparables for all your surrounding suburbs here. Unless they were clients of ours, we wouldn't be privy to their data or their information. But when we did our own, like basically I worked with somebody within Hub and I said, what are all of our communities doing on retirements? And we had about 15 groups that came up in the state of Illinois that are Hub clients, and they all are charging 100% of the premium to the retirees.
So they get a discount because they're on the group plan?
No discount.
I'm just saying they get a lesser rate than if they were in a private market, likely, because they have access to a group plan. However, they just don't get any village contribution towards whatever the premium is.
That's correct. And the piece about being lower than the market, I don't know, that's arguable, because a lot of times, like your plan, the retail value of your plan is probably much higher than anything you're gonna find in the marketplace.
That's the premium plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you're right, normally the employer plans, you think, well, the employer's subsidizing, and they are. But your plan is a very rich plan. You know, the benefits are valued. We've looked at the benefits. I mean, you can only raise deductibles so many times, and you're going to find, you know, cost savings. So I think this is why the village is going in a different direction going forward, trying to come up to par on some of the cost share with the retirees. So,
Tony, can you also go back down to slide 3? I just want to point out, you know, again, the question is, well, you know, the question is going to be why. I know Trustee Zelbros going to get, you know, the why question. Then,
you know what, I'm losing the page number, sorry, Dan. Oh, that's for, okay. This guy.
Yeah, that page right there. You know, again, the top 2 lines, which shows, you know, how far over projections we are these last 2 years. But I think even what I picked up on earlier, Tony, can you go to the year 2017, 2018, the actual cost? Oh, it's 3.5 million. Right, 2017, 18.
Yeah, right here.
Okay, keep going to actual cost.
Yep.
3.5.
Yep.
So now 8 years later, we're projecting, you know, over 7 million. So I mean, we're looking in 8 years, you know, costs are projected to double. And granted, there's more people on the plan. We have some of our departments have more people on them than they did before, but we haven't doubled our staff. You know, staff has increased by maybe 20%, but we're looking at a 100% increase really in what the plan costs are. So these are tough decisions, and you know, the village. You know, we all know every year we go through the budget, and it's, you know, the cost of personnel. You know, it's salaries, wages, it's pensions, and it's insurance. And we have to get a little bit more. We have to get a little bit more back on insurance if we're going to keep. You know, I've never seen a collective bargaining agreement. I've never seen a collective bargaining agreement where employees' wages decrease, and we certainly aren't seeing decreases in pensions. So we're just at a point where, you know, some of these costs have to be absorbed.
Well, and Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, the reason we're stepping in for the retirees is, post-65 is that they have time to find a supplemental if they think they can find one at a better cost.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's
being changed.
right. Yeah, there's some time again with the change on 11.1 to 60%. It gives some of the retirees an opportunity. A lot of them are working in other locations. They have other plans that they can go to. They have spouses. So it does give some opportunity to make some plan changes on their own, you know, before the rates increase on our.
I think that's an important point. I mean, let's face it. I mean, there are some options that are out there. I know I had to help, you know, with my dad's coverage, and I had to kind of go. You know, I'm in the industry, and then I had to like figure out this Medicare thing. But you know, there's some pretty good plans out there. I don't know. I mean, the Medicare Advantage plans, I got him onto a plan with no premium, and he's had it now for 3 years, and I manage all this stuff, and it's worked out pretty good. So there's some options out there, but yet they have a great option here too. You guys are still generously, supplementing a lot of the cost, which is uncommon.
Any other questions for Tony? Lot to digest.
Yeah, I love it. Insurance interest, hard telling the kids, but thank you.
We do sat through 6 or 8 meetings with you, and for a lot of folks here, trustees, it's their first time here, so it's a lot to digest.
Well, I hope it's understandable, at least, and I'm always happy to answer more questions, so just let me know. So, thank you.
Administrator, when we approve, if we approve this or deny this or vote on this in the next meeting, we're approving the renewal
Based on these recommended changes.
accepting all the recommended changes that be in this slide that we're looking at, the new update. So the 100,000 stop loss,
Correct.
the 50/50, 5/1, 60/40, 11/1.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
That's what's factored into the overall renewal increase for the village.
Thank you.
Okay. Trustees have any other questions? If not, we will have for consideration the renewal in 2 weeks. And we have open enrollment starting up on April 1st. Okay, Tony, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time and your interest.
I guess I have one more. I'm sorry, Mayor, Administrator. Considering that our open enrollment happens concurrent with our fiscal year, is that correct?
Yes.
And so retirees, if they choose to stay on our plan in May, likely they can't get off in November when the increase goes into effect. Is that correct, Tony? Unless they have a qualifying event?
It would be a qualifying event.
It would be a qualifying rate increase.
Yep.
The share increase, okay. Yep.
And in November, that would be, that's when Medicare's actual open enrollment is running for 27. So that's actually probably a good timing. If anybody's contemplating a different option out there, that would be a very good time for people to look at the market.
Thanks, Tony.
Okay, thank you.
All right, well, that's all I have.
Thank you, trustee. We're going to move on to the village attorney's report. Mr. Walsh. Thank you, sir. Moving on to finance and HRC, trustee Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. We have 2025 property tax levy abatements, the bond series. Administrator Prokwarski.
Yeah, I'm happy to take this in Finance Director Hannigan's absence. This will be quick. You have the copy of the 2025 tax levy in front of you in the column that's titled abatements. You'll see that back in December when we passed our levy, we projected abatements of $255,890. This is an annual exercise we go through to formalize that abatement. We're essentially telling Cook County the village has other funds available in the amount of $255,890, so that effectively reduces the overall levy that they collect on the village's behalf. This is for the general obligation bond series 2019A, which has essentially 1 year left to go. So this will be the last year that we expect to make this abatement, because next March we will effectively be paying off that 2019A series bond. So this is, it's sort of a formality. We foreshadowed the abatement at the property tax levy discussion in December, and this is just a follow through, formally notifying the county that we have the funds available to make that abatement.
Dan, can you tell me that number again?
$255,890. Happy to take any questions if you have any. Now, we typically need to get these abatements in the county's hands by the end of March, so we'd like to get this on the agenda in a couple of weeks. Great.
Thank you. Mayor, I have no other items.
Thank you, trustee. I'm moving on to airport insurance. We'll get back to you, trustee Smith, for
I
trustee.
have no items, thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to fire and economic development, trustee Abbasy.
Thank you, Mayor. Some items for consideration tonight. And first, we're going to talk about a proposed second amendment to the tax increment financing redevelopment agreement with OTP Re LLC. And I believe I'm going to turn things over to Administrator Podgorski, and I believe we have Jeremy from OTP on the phone who's going to be joining us. Right now, maybe is he going to be unmuted now? Jeremy, can you hear us? Yeah, can you hear us now, Jeremy?
Yeah, I apologize.
All right.
Okay. Is that clear? Can you hear me clearly?
Jeremy, we got you. This is Trustee Abbasy. I'm going to turn things over to Administrator Podgorski, who's going to introduce the proposed redevelopment agreement changes.
Thank you, Trustee. Welcome, Jeremy. Welcome, Jeremy. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I appreciate the flexibility of the council to accommodate my personal situation. Obviously, this is unforeseen, and I'm grateful for everybody's patience.
No problem. I'm going to have Fabian call up just as a refresher for the board. This is a amendment to a redevelopment agreement that the village has previously adopted. This is for the former Young Furniture Building at 3329 Ridge Road. Jeremy Wetmore is from Icarus Investment. This is the company this is the successor firm to OTP RE LLC. And they were here, I think, in November with a presentation to essentially bring it'll essentially be two businesses in one building. They are the former owners of Pappy's Euros that were here in November. This was an experienced restaurant and bar management team. So the call is for a breakfast and lunch style restaurant on the main level at 3329, something that will be open probably in the morning until about 3 o'clock. And then more of an upscale sports lounge on the second floor of the property. These would both be constructed at the same time. Previous versions of the redevelopment agreement, we had phases, and the prior management group really was, the upstairs was more of a future build out. So you'll see here in the slide that's on the screen right now, it says on the bottom floor they'll have minus Maple House, a new breakfast restaurant for the community. I don't know if it'll still be called that, but Jeremy, any changes to the operational plan that you and the guys around Pappy's have in store?
No.
Okay.
No change to the operational plan. As far as the name, we will engage a firm to help us name this because I lack in creativity. But we will come up with a good name. The group is moving forward with our lender on construction and permanent debt, and there's been no changes to the concept of any type.
Great. So after the presentation in November, we had an exchange of some ideas and figures, and so I've asked Attorney Welch to draft this second amendment to the redevelopment agreement. You'll see the changes in blue. There's essentially 3 changes to the plan, and I'll have Attorney Welch take us through any of the details that I might omit. The main thing is the construction budget is changing. It was approximately $1.3 million originally when we first started this back about 5 years ago. The budget for the building now is at approximately $2.2 million. The ask from Icarus is the same on a percentage basis, so they're asking for a 39% contribution from the village. That equates to about $858,000. The village has previously paid roughly $350,000 in reirmbursements to the improvements that were previously made. So that will leave an additional $450,000, somewhere in that range. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I'm just doing some basic math here. That is about what would be remaining if we approve the second amendment. The other caveats would be that within 90 days of adoption of the second amendment, Jeremy's firm of Icarus will pay all back taxes on the property. And the other caveat we requested is so that we don't have this monthly or 60-day drawdown when the project is completed and Icarus submits a certification of completed costs and the village verifies the project is done, that's when the reimbursement would be made. I'll ask Attorney Welch to take us through any other changes that you feel should be noted.
The biggest, you'll see some significant red lines in there. A lot of that is dealing with the fact the original agreement contemplated the conveyance that already occurred. So that's why you'll see a significant amount of red line. We're moving that because that's already happened.
So obviously, it's a bigger ask on the village's part. All I would say is this building is sat vacant and it's been an eyesore for a long time. The village went through a process to extend the Ridge Road TIF a year and a half ago, so we do an additional 12 years of increment forthcoming. This is in the heart of our downtown, and what we're missing in our downtown, we know, is places that you can't find anywhere else, and that's what we need. We need some destination-style restaurants and places that will draw people to Lansing, not only before and after Foxconn shows, but on a regular basis. I know Jeremy's firm. Jeremy, maybe you want to talk a little bit about the market for breakfast and lunch. You guys are confident that there's a market for this type of restaurant?
Yeah, so first of all, again, I appreciate everybody's patience that I couldn't be there in person, and I realize that's less than ideal. I assure you all that the situation my family is dealing with is difficult. What I would say is we spent a good deal of time really studying the area and making sure we have the right partner. If you were at the last meeting, I think despite any shortcomings my firm might have, it was very clear the operator was well respected and remembered within the community. And I think that adds a certain appeal. We have taken a great deal of time and patience, and the reason we've done so is the last thing we want to do is bring a business to this community that's going to shutter in a 6 to 24-month period. I think we have a sustained operational plan. I think there's a need for breakfast and lunch. I think there's a desire for outdoor entertaining. And I think that we have the right people to deliver that. My firm currently owns and operates from, since we last met, roughly 3,800 units, most of which are within the city of Chicago. We have several large institutional partners, and we deliver on our building and construction and management process on a daily basis. We take it very seriously when we approach a municipality and say, hey, we want to partner with you, this is what it looks like, and this is what we believe we can deliver. I can honestly tell you, I think we have a very clean track record of delivering what we promise we can do. And I'm convinced that this is the right group of operators to deliver Lansing what it needs, in this case, which is a little more upscale, a little more approachable, breakfast and lunch, and in the evening, entertainment that will be both approachable for adults and then the outdoors, all ages. And I think it's a unique mix that we're proud to present. I've taken my time with the operating partners to make sure that they have a sustained approach to how we're going to grow and be present in the Lansing community for more than, like I said, 6 to 24 months. I think this is a business that can sustain and grow and be part of more development in the future. I'm not interested in operating partners that want to partner in one deal with us. I think there's a future for us to grow in Lansing, and I think Lansing has an opportunity. They have the right demographics, and I think if we really diligently dial in and deliver, this is going to be something that's going to really be prosperous for the downtown environment. Do I wish we could have delivered this sooner? Yes. If you were at the last meeting that I presented at, I hope the message was clear that we respect and own the fact that this should have been delivered sooner. My partners and equity owners and I have met since that time at a board meeting and discussed how this has been less than desirable for the city of Lansing, and we take that very seriously. And we appreciate the board, the mayor, and Dan specifically working with us and being patient with us. But I think, as my wife says, measure twice, cut once, and I try to take that to heart because I've had a few home improvements that I've screwed up. We think we have this right, and we appreciate your patience.
Thanks, Jeremy. Any questions, additional questions from the board? Zach?
Jeremy, this is Trustee Abbasy. We're looking at a presentation on the screen, one that you presented back in November. I know in the proposed amendment in the redevelopment agreement, there should be a project budget. Do we have access to that as a board, that we can kind of see what that $2.2 million project budget looks like? And maybe can you speak to...
I'm sorry, keep going.
Maybe can you speak to the increase in the previous redevelopment agreement? We were looking at about $1 million. Now we're looking at $2.2 million in project costs. Can you talk about the differences?
Yeah, 100%. The project cost loading is completely due to a bigger build out of a restaurant in both areas. I think doing it the right way, building it once, and appropriately delivering something even there now, is why the project has bloated. I can give you the same answer that everybody in the papers gives: supply chain costs improved. The reality is we've upgraded the build out significantly, because I think the previous build out originally contemplated a brew pub, in which case the brewer was bringing quite a bit of equipment. Admittedly, I was not part of the firm. I'm now the second largest owner of Icarus. And what we're delivering today is I would say best in class restaurant. And those costs, frankly, at $1.3 million, we can't deliver a product to the village of Lansing that is going to be a lasting product. And we thought long and hard about presenting a budget that was higher, because I knew it was not something that would be without question. But I think if we don't do the right thing on the front end, you're going to end up with a business that's going to fail in the short term or mid-term. And what you guys really need is a long-term business partner, and we think that this build-out provides that. And all the costs are going to build out.
Thanks, Jeremy.
And we're happy to recirculate our build-out budget. If that hasn't been shared with your group, I'm happy to do that.
I think Administrator Mark, if we could have access to that prior to the next meeting or voting on this, that'd be appreciated. I think one thing I want to just kind of ensure, Jeremy, is the repayment of the taxes that are past due on the property. That's not incorporated in that $2.2 million budget.
No, that's our responsibility as a firm.
Okay, thank you. Attorney Welch, can you speak to? I know typically in redevelopment agreements, the village has some protections on the back end. Can we talk about, is there any built into this? Should, Icarus, OTP operate for 3 years and then decide they want to sell, they want to back out? What village protections do we have in place through this redevelopment agreement?
Well, first, no deals without risk. So the village is going to maintain its second mortgage. It's not as good as a first mortgage position, but there's a $500,000 loan currently. On top of that, we've now structured it where the remaining funds are being paid after all the work is in the building. So we're not going to be out any further funds until the project, there's a certificate of occupancy issued. So it stands to reason someone's not going to put in $2.2 million and just walk away the next day, right? And finally, there's the traditional remedies that damages specific performance. It's not major. So,
The $5 million loan, the mortgage, the second mortgage, that's paid down through the money added to the increment district?
as the village, well, it's going to be increased. there's a provision in the Second Amendment where that 500,000 is going to be increased to, what was it, 838? And then yes, the way it's written, the principal balance, it's a 0% interest. Principal balance will decrease as the village receives property tax and any sales tax, and if gaming is introduced, any gaming.
Look, I just would add to that. We're not going to invest $2.2 million unless we think we're going to be a long-term successful partner. There's reputational risk here, and frankly, we've spurned some of that reputation in the 5+ years it's taken to get here. We have institutional partners, we have family office partners, and when we fail or don't deliver on what we say we're going to do, that's not good for our firm, my firm, frankly. And we take it very seriously. There was a point in time where the village offered us an off-ramp very generously, and we decided that wasn't the appropriate thing to do because it wasn't the ethical thing to do. I'm not a restaurant operator. I spent about a year trying to find the right restaurant operators, and I tried desperately to find brew pub operators, and they just weren't there. What we're going to deliver to Lansing is going to have a lasting impact, and it's going to matter, and it's going to mean something. Not just to the village, but it's going to mean something to our firm. And we take what we do next very seriously, because we're going to guarantee these funds. This is not, a non-guaranteed, non-collateralized fund. This is going to be our names are on the line. This $2 million is going to be used for this project, and we're going to deliver an operating business that we believe is best in class. And if we didn't believe in that, we wouldn't deliver it. That's all I can tell you. I know none of you know me personally. In 5 years, I have no doubt to look back at this and say, that was the right decision. And the 5 years to get here, arguably the wrong decision. But we're trying to fix what has not gone correctly. And that's why we're going to pay the property taxes. That's why we're going to agree to the village's demand and the attorney's demand, and frankly, the correct demand, to only get funds once we deliver a certificate of occupancy. We're not simply trying to get out of jail here. We're trying to get you a process that's taken entirely too long and deliver what Lansing deserves from their partners. And that's what we're trying to do.
Jeremy, this is Trustee Jerry Zellenrus on a lighter note. The next question that usually comes up is, how soon are the doors going to be open? So what is your build-out schedule look like?
So our timeline looks like this. Once we're confident in the village of Lansing and our plan, the next step is going to be, we've already spoken with our financing. They're aware of what our project plan looks like. I have the contractor in my office next week. We would like to be moving forward as soon as we can squeeze and close on the construction. I would say that's something like 30 days from when we have approval from the village to move forward. And then we're going to be in a sprint. This is not going to be slow down. I can't promise you I'm going to deliver. This is going to happen in Q2 or early Q3 based on the timing. Dan has assured us that the zoning and permit approval process will be as fast as Lansing can possibly deliver. And, we're off to the races. That's all I can tell you. Their funding won't be a slow issue for us. We have plenty of capital to invest. As fast as we can deliver a safe and quality product, that's when we're going to deliver it. There won't be a slow play.
Okay, thank you. I think I speak for all the trustees when I say we were encouraged when we heard about the new plan, who was going to be running the restaurant, about what the outside seating was going to look like. I don't think that's faded in any way. We take a certain amount of confidence in that when things come to our Village Board for approval that all of the hard work that went into a proposal and update like this has been worked on well and based on past practice where we have a solid footing before we get to this point. So we're encouraged. I look forward to what this is going to mean for the village, and I'm sure we'll get through the details and paper and pen here shortly to make this happen. At least that's what
I will tell you, I'm looking forward to a ribbon cutting with the mayor and this group, followed by a beer. This is a project that is not something that when I bought into this firm realized is outstanding, but this was something that it's frankly a black eye, and we just have to fix it, and we're going to fix it. That's been my message to the mayor and the board the entire time. Maybe we don't like how we got to this place, but we're going to really like how we get out of this place, and that's our job, and we will deliver.
I'll agree to that sentiment, and we look forward to what happens in the near future.
Trustees, other questions for Administrator Podgorski or for Jeremy?
I have a question for Matt, the taxes. And Jeremy, the taxes, the property taxes that are paid prior to construction.
So the way it's currently drafted is 90 days after execution.
Correct. We're not challenging that position in any way, shape, or form.
Jeremy, thanks for joining us tonight. And Administrator, if we can have this on the agenda for the next board meeting. Also, I would appreciate that if you have that budget.
Yeah, we get an updated budget from the
Yeah, so to be clear,
Dan,
the last
Dan, let's connect tomorrow and get you an updated one if you don't have it, and I'll make sure you have what you need to circulate.
Thank you.
Yeah, my last email to Jeremy and his group was, here's the draft. There's an exhibit for the project budget and the project schedule, construction schedule, that they need to give us. So that will be part of the document when it comes to you for approval.
Okay, do you want to end this call for us? Thanks, Jeremy.
Thanks, Jeremy.
You guys have a good evening. Thank you all.
Right.
All right, moving on. I want to invite, we've got Jack Hines, who is our economic development consultant. I've got Adam Dotson and Dan Johnson from Strikes and Bites. There's a request for a Class 8 real estate tax incentive classification for Haydac 5 Holdings LLC, better known as Strikes and Bites.
Mayor, trustees. What we're here to discuss is the former Landhill bowling alley. Now it's called Strikes and Bites. This is for a Class 8 tax incentive with special circumstances. Special circumstances are that, as you can tell right now, it is open and a little unique with this, but part of that is because we have been working with them, the group, for a while during the process of this. So going back to Cook County and stuff like that, it is allowed to do this, so that's why we're coming to you. They were obviously already open, so it's a little unique. That's why it's called special circumstances. The reason we recommend this Class 8 there, as you can see in your packet, they were discussing taxes and how they would go from about 48,000 down to 19 tax incentive. But the positive about something like this is the money that was reinvested right back in there. If you do that over the 10 years, it's around $300,000. They've already taken that $300,000 in savings and invested it back into the facility they have. They updated the equipment, they updated the facade, see the signage out there, so they've made it nice. So the money that they're saving in the property tax over 10 years, they're taking it and reinvesting back into the facility. Along with that, now you have a building that could have gone vacant. And if you know anything about bowling alleys, sometimes they're a little difficult to refurbish. So this there, you've got another, here, you can come over too, yeah. You discuss this as well. But you have this, you turn around, that's not including the sales tax, food tax, and also the gaming tax at the bar included. I'll let them talk for a second and see if you have any questions.
Well, thank you. Good evening, everyone. So
What we've had to do in order to refurbish, we've already spent over $175,000 in cash just to get the building where our guests can come and enjoy themselves. In addition to that, even now we're working on getting roofs put on. We got a lot of stuff we got to do. We're looking at some of our plumbing and things of that nature. And so that's where our investment has been going as it pertains to the structure of the building. Many of you are familiar with what we've been doing in the community itself and giving back to the community now. Somewhere around 3,000 people here we fed for Thanksgiving and adopted a couple hundred kids for Christmas, those type of things. And so we want to be able to continue to do that. We're growing kind of fast, and so we now are up to about 21 employees. 75% of them are from Lansing. And so we want to make certain that our guests, we want to make certain that our staff is able to really be able to enjoy the space and expand on our community impact and on the services that we are providing internally. And so that's why we're asking for this relief to help us to be able to continue to reinvest back into the building, we want to get our parking lot done. There's a lot of things we want to do to make certain that it's a Class A type of establishment for our community.
Mic drop. I'm done. I think these guys did a thorough job of introducing the project here. So.
I asked this question to Jack before the meeting, but maybe you can speak to it. So typically when we get a Class A request, it's for a vacant property. And so this is an allowable.
Sure. Trustee Abbasy, there is a pathway, and one of the pathways is that there is a discussion prior to the closing of the property with the village, which was documented here. That is the pathway at the county level. So to give you any hint, and I would say, looking back at all this was kind of a nice way for the village to see the progress being made at this property while we were going through this. And in most cases, you give the Class A prior, but in this instance, you're working through the project and giving the Class A here at the very end. So, and nonetheless, it does pass the county, but I thought it was an interesting way of how we created a relationship here with the village and Mr. Johnson with the business that he's created here. He's repositioned this business, and it's going to continue to grow here. And the reason why is that you have an entrepreneur here that has a passion to do something important in this community, which is attract and draw the residents to a community-based business that many of you know that many of the communities are losing these types of operations, and not only because of taxes, is because they're getting old and they're not, refurbishable because of the time that they took so long to make these repairs. So just to give you a heads up, I've worked on probably 5 or 6 bowling alleys in the south suburbs. 2 we've saved. So as you know, they're getting harder and harder to come by. But here we have this reinvestment occurring here in this village of Lansing.
If I could just add this, one of the things we have to do this summer is we have to do an overhaul of our AC. Our AC has been there, from what I was advised, about 35 years. And so we had some challenges this summer where it got hot. And then we've also had to spend some money for the winter to warm it because of the furnace. And so we just got a proposal, about $45,000 to take care of our new boiler system. And the proposal was about $36,000 to really get the AC together, and in addition to the roofing and things of that nature. So our goal is to be able to make sure that we're able to make those investments accordingly.
Trustees, any questions for Sharon or Jack?
I just want to say to Mr. Johnson, been at your establishment several times. The upgrades that you've done there is truly amazing. You can see it on the inside, the exterior, and the interior. I'm glad, and I'm sure a lot of the trustees, or all the trustees, are glad that you're in the community. And you have been very gracious in helping out. I know Anisha at the youth center with their youth, why our remodeling is happening over there. I know they've been able to meet over there as well. So you've been opening up your doors there as well. So again, I'm glad that you're in the community. When I drive by your establishment in the evening, it looks like you're bringing in a nice crowd from the community, and I thank you for that too. So again, hopefully with this Class 8, you can hopefully kind of recoup a little bit of money. Like you said, you got to put it into the heating and air conditioning, roofing, and that again is very expensive. But as you said, you're already dumped almost $200,000 into this project, and I'm sure your wall's going to have to go up a little bit more. But again, I'm glad that you're here. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
No further questions, Administrator, for moving this on for consideration at the next board meeting. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Chief Moynihan, you would like us to approve fire hydrant replacement plan.
I would. Thank you, Trustee. And I have a very wonderful presentation for you this evening. Okay, well, I will keep it pretty brief. Again, the hydrant program is something for the newer trustees. We started in 2024 with Emmy Simpson. So in 2024, Emmy Simpson kind of came through the town, assessed our stock, our entire stock of fire hydrants, did flow testing, and also came up with a list of repairs that were needed for our fire hydrants. Again, just kind of reiterating what's there. Just so you guys, for everybody's information, the Village of Lansing has 1,386 fire hydrants. They inspected every one of them. During that inspection, deficiencies were, if deficiencies were found, reported. Wait a second. Reported how? Never. So if they found something wrong with them, they wrote it down. And then kind of the nice kind of surprise in all of this was we found that less than 5% of those hydrants needed major repairs. So kind of working off of this inspection of our hydrant system, we moved kind of to figuring out the intent and scope of our hydrant repair program. So again, kind of the first thing we were looking to do was locate fire hydrants within the village that needed replacement or repair. And then prioritize those repairs based upon locations within what we call target hazard zones. Basically, you know, target hazards for us start kind of with the important ones: educational, commercial, and then moving down to residential. And then the other facet of our intent was to create a streamlined repair replacement process that maximizes the funding that was set aside for this project. So the scope, use the data that was found from Emmy Simpson, and then repair and replace the hydrants. In cases of minor to moderate repairs, again, we partnered with PW to get a lot of this stuff done. And this was kind of something that we kind of worked on. It's a way to kind of save costs. Some of the repairs that were kind of out of PW's scope, and so that's why we kind of look to get a company to come out and do it. So in cases of replacement, Lansing Public Works would supply the material, and then we look for a qualified subcontractor that would install the hydrant. Again, we were able to get a lot more done. Kind of, you know, we're not getting the markup from from the company that would do all of the work, because they're going to always mark up the material. So we kind of save that markup on us by having PW supply that. Public Works gets a pretty good deal on fire hydrants. So last summer we started a trial run. We looked at replacing 3 hydrants, one at 18300 Green Bay, one on 19043 Vernon Avenue, and one at 17355 Torrance. Again, in our trial run, Public Works purchased the hydrants, worked out great. We gave them a number, they got them on site. And then we partnered with Reichel Plumbing to provide the labor to install those hydrants. So the first one we did was at 17355 Torrance. This one worked out perfectly. This is where the new jump zone, I believe, was going. Sky zone.
Jump over.
Your kids are small. No, yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I've got grannies. I'll worry about that. But yeah, they needed to get this hydrant replaced to kind of keep the project moving along. So this was naturally our very first one we did. Worked out great. Reichel came in, worked hand in glove with Public Works, like coordinated the shutting down of the water, Public Works, I mean, I couldn't ask for a better kind of process. Am I blocking anybody here? Sorry, I'm getting all carried away on fire. And then another really good thing kind of about this partnership we had during this trial run was, when they would come out there, they'd be like, hey, we don't need to replace the hydrant. And I would probably say between Raykel finding these out and then Earl and Public Works going out and like doing some really kind of what we thought were major problems, they were able to condense it down to real minor problems. I think a couple where we had valves that were shut off and we're thinking, oh no. So this has really been a good process. You know, it kind of gave me the feeling too that Raykel wasn't here just to kind of gouge us, right? They were here to kind of work with us. So again, as we kind of got into this current fiscal year we're in, there was money set aside in both Public Works budget and Fire Department's budget to kind of cover the costs of that. But knowing that the costs were going to exceed $20,000 is the reason I'm doing this. So again, the bidding process, we started out with our bid specifications for Raykel, and then we're looking to have a subcontractor excavate, remove the existing hydrant, and replace it with the new hydrant, and then backfill to grade. So again, backfill to grade is they're just piling the dirt on. They're not reseeding, they're not kind of doing any of that stuff. You know, conversations with Earl and myself, that's just something we feel like, you know, Public Works can handle. Again, why are we going to pay a markup to a subcontractor to spread grass down? I solicited bids from 3 subcontractors. It's kind of just a quick breakdown of the prices. Tried to stay local, and you'll see that after all of it, Raykel, we kind of went with in the beginning, was able to deliver the lowest price. And that's per unit, so that's per hydrant. Or I'm trying to remember, hydrant, it kind of cost was probably right around $45. So, again, it is my recommendation, you know, that I would like to continue partnering with Raykel, but understanding that it is ultimately your decision as the board, but I'm just presenting my recommendation. Yeah, can't say enough about them. I think the relationship between Public Works and Raykel was seamless. I can't speak for myself, but I think Earl was able to partner his crew with Raykel's crew, and it was pretty much hands-off, which is kind of uncommon when you're kind of running these projects. I don't think we ran into any kind of issues or anything like that. Not at all. So, and again, I can't say enough about your group. Again, it was kind of something new that we did, and those guys kind of went right to it, so it was great. Again, work completed during the trial run. Again, we had no issues. I don't think we had any problems at all. Communication was great. And again, I would just say with Raykel, they assisted the village in finding ways to repair hydrants as opposed to just complete replacement. You could have somebody come in and say, oh, the turn and it doesn't work, we're going to replace the whole thing. But again, we had, I think he even brought in a couple of hydrant experts to come in and kind of talk to us and kind of get us some other ideas on how to replace it. So, again, I'm just bringing this recommendation to you this evening, is that we move forward with working with Raykel for the rest of this fiscal year. I anticipate that kind of with the monies we have set aside, that we can do another 7 to 10 hydrants replace this year, this fiscal year. And that's it. Do you have any questions?
Chief, are we approving an ongoing relationship or just a specific dollar amount for those 7 to 10?
I mean, I think, I can't speak to what comes up next fiscal year, whether that money would be approved. So, I mean, if you guys, I probably foresee this as we just having to come up next time. And if the partnership is approved and goes well this phase, I would probably come back to re-recommend them, but I'm not sure, like, budget-wise, what would get passed. But I guess it would be just for this phase.
Chief, I did the math in my head, you're looking at about 65 to 70 hydrants.
Yes, yeah, that needs some sort. But you got to factor in there too, as we kind of get to them and Raykel kind of looks at them. Again, we thought we had a bunch more that needed major replacements, and we've been able to kind of whittle that down with just some minor repairs.
So the proposal is open-ended. Are we looking to put a cap on that?
So the proposal currently is open-ended, so Raykel would be the order of choice until so that's what you're saying, turn motion?
Yeah, I'm saying it's 58.50 per hydrant with no cap on the number of hydrants.
We're still new into this program. I think, as the chief said, we're going to probably target these next 7 to 10 hydrants that need some sort of major repair. We'll come back and revisit the program after that based on what we have left. We did this trial run last year to see if we could source the hydrants ourselves, not incur any markup, just pay for labor. We thought it went well. We all agreed we needed to bid out the labor because in total we were going to be over $20,000, which is our magic number. That's what we have in front of us. We'll probably take it just for this next fiscal year, see how far we get, and come back and visit it at that time.
Yeah, open-ended is nice. I mean, it makes it easier for me, but I also think if we kind of cap it, we keep the subcontractor hungry, right? He's got to stay current and stuff like that. So, again, puts me in front of you guys. I know you guys like hearing from me, so, we can do this once a year if we have to. With that, I'll take any other questions if you have.
You mentioned, just in passing, about budgeted amount or what you may have anticipated. Was this something that came up in budget talk?
It was, yes. In each of our line items, I can't speak for Public Works, but I want to say it was $60,000 in both. We had $60,000 in both line items to cover anticipated repair costs. So mine and fire and Public Works.
So that kind of puts a cap on it. We're going into this budget year that's was planned. It comes in a reasonable contractor.
Yes, sir.
That we're happy with.
And the hope is we'll knock them all out, like, again, before the fiscal year's up. I spoke to Earl earlier this evening. We still have a couple in stock from last summer, some fall, and then we can get a couple more to really wrap this up before the end of the fiscal year, kind of maximize that money that was come on.
You're hoping to get like 7 more done before a couple, 2 months?
Yes, sir. I think Earl and I think it's easy to do.
There's Public Works, we have about 3 on hand, we have a place of order about 4 more as far as I know.
Trustees, any further questions for Chief Wyman? Administrator, you can have this on consideration next board meeting.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Mayor, I'd like to further attention.
Thank you, Trustee. We're going to move on to Police and Public Works. Trustee Zeldin Russell.
Thank you, Mayor. I have some really good news to share, and I'm just going to read the title of it and then ask the Chief Hyman to come up and lay it on us. But there's a grant agreement that we need to come up with, providing more cameras and dash cameras between the state of Illinois, law enforcement training, the village of Lansing, in the amount of $680,976.51. A successful grant written and won by our team. So come on up, Deputy Chief, and tell us the details, would you please?
A few months ago, discussing our body cam and dash camera program for the next 5 years. That was just shy of $1 million. I did apply for the grant I spoke of, and we were awarded about 70% of the costs for the grant, to the tune of almost $681,000. So it's really about all I got. We've deployed the body camera portion of this project on the 20th of February, and the dash cameras are set to roll out the first week of April is when the installers are scheduled to come on site and take care of that for us. So hopefully mid-April we'll have a full deployment, and appreciate you voting on this project earlier, and I'm just very thankful that we were awarded this grant, and hopefully in 5 years we'll try for it again.
The Deputy Chief, stop downplaying the significance of this grant. I mean, well done. You really, head off to you and your team for pursuing this grant. I mean, that's a major savings to the village. So we don't want to downplay the significance of this grant.
No, it is major, and I was very excited. I think Chief was the first person I ran over his office and told as soon as I got the notification. So we are happy, and anything like this does help us offset the overall cost. The body camera program is state mandated; it's not going away, and this allows our officers to have the best, what we feel is the best technology available to them to accomplish our end goal, serving the citizens.
Yeah, Mike, I just want to say congratulations. I know I worked hard on this as well. But, you know, the beautiful thing about this, besides, you know, getting the cameras for the cars and the body worn, it's going to save our officers a lot of time, too.
Absolutely, it already has.
A lot of, you know, I'll use the word grief, you know, sometimes that they got to go through, you know, on just getting the data back and stuff like that. So, but again, as the trustees all said, you know what, we're not downplaying it. This is truly amazing. You guys work your butts off, and it shows. I mean, when you're talking about almost $750,000 here, savings to our village, that's incredible. So again, I know I sent it to you in an email, but I just want to tell you basically first, congratulations.
Thank you.
Good job.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy. Trustee Zone, any other questions about this? I appreciate it. It would be something that can be drafted and ready for our next meeting to be approved. Yes, that's a resolution. Right. Thank you. That takes care of that. And finally, intergovernmental agreement for crossing guard services between the Village of Lansing and Thornton's Fractional South High School District 215. Chief, can you just hit the highlights on that for us?
You bet. Trustees Alderman, thank you, Mayor, thank you, elected officials. I felt it was really important to bring Mike up to present that to you. He did work his tail off on that. That was well deserved, and we really do thank you, Mike. Great job on all that. So, intergovernmental agreement, excitement. In my 28 years here, I can recall of one student being hit by a car by KF South. First 4 months of this school year, we had 3. And we realized we needed to do something quickly. Mayor put together a meeting with Principal Bowler, Superintendent Williams. Mayor, thank you for doing that. Administrator Pogorski was there. We came up with a game plan. We're petitioning IDOT to put up a yellow flashing crossing lights right in front of the school. That's going to take some time. IDOT works very slowly. But we did do some things right away. We got some radar signs that we put out in front, hopefully to slow people down. We really increased our enforcement right there. We have our officers out there every morning and really hitting it hard, trying to get people to slow down there. But finally, the most important thing we did was we put some crossing guards out there. My assistant, Tiffany Rosati, manages our program. We have 25 crossing guards throughout the town through District 158 and 171. They reimburse us for that. So we came up with an agreement with 215 to have them reimburse us for the 2 crossing guards that we're putting out there. So far so good, no issues. I see them out there, they're doing a great job, we really appreciate it. We will bring this back before the board in the summer to do an agreement with all 3 school districts, because we already have an arrangement in place for 158 and 171, but we want to formalize everything. So with the new rates, once everything gets finalized in the summer, we'll bring it back for 3 new agreements with everybody. But for now, this is just for 215 to reimburse us for 2 crossing guards, no more than 3 hours a day per crossing guard, and we will take care of all the management in-house and take care of all of it.
Thank you, Chief. And this is obviously something that the school district has already talked about and is supportive of the numbers and all.
100%, they love it. They were ready to write up their agreement for us, but Matt was very quick to jump on it, so thank you, Matt, and your team take care of that as well.
Thank you, Chief. So like I said, during that meeting, I know Principal Lisa Boulder was very appreciative, you know, and getting, like I said, the radar, screens out there, and not crossing guards, but having your officers out there, and our officers out there. I can see that the traffic is slowing down quite a bit, and actually, there's a nice buzz going through town that, seeing the officers out there watching speeders and stuff like that, I think they're slowing down. So that's a good thing, especially during school hours and through our school zone. So, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And we want to make sure that kids stay safe.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Chief. So, the agreement can be drafted and ready for us, and we'll put it on the agenda for our next meeting. That's all I have for this meeting. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee. Moving on to Building, IT, L&M, and Marketing, Trustee Lamont.
Nothing for this meeting, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to the youth center and venue operations, Trustee Robinson.
Nothing this evening, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. We're going to open it up to a public comment. Public comment would be only anything that we spoke about here at the committee of the whole meeting here. Is there anybody in the public audience that would want to speak? If not, we'll close that portion up. We'll move on to old business for the trustees. Do the trustees have anything for old business? Do the trustees have anything for new business?
Mayor, just got to share one quick little story. I know it's been a long night, but Mayor's taking just a second. Last week, I wound up in a situation where I was helping an acquaintance in a neighboring town experiencing a very serious mental health crisis. I was kind of at a loss. It's been a long time since we've been in that mode for assisting, and the person was compliant enough that I knew that myself and the gentleman that was helping me could gain their confidence and get them into a facility if we found one that was appropriate. And so I took a chance and placed a call to our police department and fire department just to get some advice and some hints about current practices and locations and facilities and that type of thing. Shout out to Deputy Chief John Grady for answering the call there to the PFD, and to Brian Weiss, our supervisor of telecommunications and records. Not only did they give me good advice, but there was a preemptive call. One of the emergency room entrance desks, registration desks, that paved the way. So it was just a matter of driving the person there, and you're ushered in. Like, it was all just a matter of business. It was a neighboring town. It wasn't a situation where I could get our personnel to respond across the state line, but because of their good advice, I'm quite confident life was saved and the treatment was given, and it was not only reassuring to know that we have that type of response from our folks, but it just, in a recent interview, I was asked, well, what makes Lansing special? And I was quick to say, you know, our department heads are very important, and they set the tone and standard for all of our employees. But when you're able to reach out and have employees from Lansing the extra mile and meet a need for someone that's not even close to them, and have it be a success story all the way across the board, that's what makes Lansing special. And it's because of the people that work here, their dedication to their office. And I just want to give a shout out to those gentlemen and let them know that their work was very much appreciated, and it was a successful day because of it. So thank you guys. And please relay my personal thanks. I already have personally, but just let them know it's important.
I will.
And I'm just so thankful for their help that day. That's all.
Thank you, trustee, for sharing that story. Trustees have anything else for new business? If not, I'll need a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss matters pertaining to the purchase or the lease of real property and the use of the public body.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Clerk, please take the vote.
Trustee Abbasy. Aye.